there. So I thought it would be interesting just to go through this, and we will send this out to everybody because I think it is quite, and over the years, I definitely think I've dealt with one of each of these. So it's something to be aware of, because understand what you're trying to do with real estate is make the deal happen if it's good for both parties, right? That's the thing. Don't get in the way, you know. So it's interesting because it starts out with unresponsive, condescending, aggressive. These are just a few of the adjectives I hear daily from realtors about the other agent in the failed real estate negotiations. So one of the things that she talks about is the fact that, you know, the other agent was uncooperative. They basically ghosted them. The deal fell apart because the agents got in the way. So I really want you to understand that one of the things to negotiations, it doesn't matter if it's real estate or whatever it is that you're doing, is understanding who the other person is on the other side. Now, if you're the listing agent, most times you're not going to meet the buyer. You're going to deal directly with their agent. But to understand that agent is going to help make the deal go forward, or it's going to hinder it, depending on how you handle it. Okay? So one of the things that you need to look at in being involved in negotiations, okay, is a skilled negotiator learns to observe their counterpart, not to judge, okay, but to understand. The goal is not to win against the other agent, but to find a strategy that builds enough trust and cooperation to keep the negotiations moving forward towards an agreement. Okay, so really, really important to understand that agents can get in the way. And unfortunately, what happens, the buyers and sellers, they just want to get a deal done, right? So one of the things you have to do, and what she talks about, is you have to start with an assessment. Before you can respond effectively, you need to understand who you're dealing with. So she actually uses 3 lenses to evaluate my negotiating counterpart. So basically what you're doing is you're trying to figure out what kind of, we talked about personalities, the different personalities of people. So what you're trying to figure out is what personality am I dealing with the particular agent? Okay. So one of the things that she looks at is skill level. Okay. Do they understand negotiation theory, or are they just winging it? Negotiation style. Are they collaborative, compliant, or competitive? Motivation. Are they focused on outcomes, or are they driven by their ego? Okay, so if you can identify these patterns, can help you choose the right approach from the start, rather than wasting time on strategies that don't work. Okay, so you have to really identify what type of agent you're dealing with. Okay, so here are the 5 most common, and we will send this out, okay, because there's a lot more detail in here. First one is the ghost, and I'm sure you've all dealt with this. The ghost is an agent that ignores messages, gives vague responses.
Yes.
Right? How many times have you dealt with an agent where like, why can't they just respond? Right?
And so far.
Okay. So the idea here is the strategy is to stay persistent. This is you as the agent, okay, being involved with this. You have to stay persistent, switch communication mediums, appeal to their self-interest, use humor when appropriate, or escalate if necessary. And what they mean by escalate if necessary is if you have done all the aspects of trying to reach out to these people and they're not responding, then the other avenue is reach out to the manager of their company and just say, here's what I've been doing, and here's all the ways I've been trying to reach this person. This is what we've been working on. They are not responding at all. Okay, but that's the last resort if you have to get to that. And hopefully it doesn't. Okay. The next agent is the bulldog. Okay, this agent's pushy, combative, purely transactional. Okay, and I know some of you have dealt with that one. Okay, the strategy, and this is important, do not engage in the fight. Okay, ask clarifying questions, stay calm, and redirect the conversation to underlying interest rather than positions. Okay. Next one is the rookie. This person, this agent's nervous, very script driven, and inconsistent. Okay. So again, understand who you're dealing with. And I know lots of us have dealt with this position. The strategy here is you have to be the lead. You got to lead gently, earn their trust, motivate with vision of success, and educate through your own personal example. Okay. So it's not like if you're dealing with this type of agent, the rookie who's, very, and we've all been there, and some of us are there, understand that if you start all of a sudden being the overpowering and condescending, and like a bulldog agent, but on you being that way, you're not going to get that deal done. Because the other thing you have to understand is we've talked about how consumers want to work and are attracted to agents that are like them in most cases. So if the agent is that type of agent, the consumer is probably going to be very similar. So if you start making the agent feel uncomfortable, feeling like you're overpowering them, their comment's going to be go back to their buyers, going to be, if you're on the listing side, is going to be, I don't know, this agent just seems to be not wanting to make this happen. They seem to be overpowering. I don't know what's going on. And if the consumer gets, that's the feedback, what's the first thing the consumer is going to do is go, oh, you know what, maybe this just isn't the right place for us. And you've lost. Okay. So very important to understand. Okay. The bluffer, this is an agent that overpromises, bends the facts, creates false urgency. So the strategy with this is you've got to stay grounded in data and realistic timelines. You got to manage your emotions and don't get swept up in their narrative. Okay. So really need to understand who you're dealing with. And then the last one is the performer. This agent is dramatic, postures for effect, exaggerates everything. Okay. And so the strategy again here is you have to use calm facts, present real deadlines, and emotional neutral to make sure that you deflate the unnecessary drama that agent's bringing. Okay, does that all make sense? So there are different ways of dealing with different agents, and you really need to understand what you're dealing with, okay? So now, once you've assessed who you're dealing with, your objective becomes clear, okay? Create just enough collaboration to keep moving the transaction forward. Okay. And then here are 7 practical strategies that work when you're in these negotiations. Okay. 1, you have to manage your emotions. I don't know anybody in here who has trouble managing your emotions, but you have to manage your emotions. Okay. Respond. Don't react.
Nancy's like, we're not talking about you, Nancy. But we are.
Right? So you have to manage your emotions, okay? You got to respond, don't react. Don't mirror aggression with aggression or ghosting with retaliation, okay? If you can observe their behavior without absorbing it, you're actually going to be in a better position to choose the message that's going to keep moving the negotiations forward. Okay. Always model professionalism. So communicate clearly, calmly, regardless of the medium that you're using. Because I do know in some instances, there can be aggressive text messages that go out when they probably shouldn't, okay? Or you receive aggressive text messages or emails. And so you just have to understand where that's coming from. And so you have to craft thoughtful emails, speak strategically, and text more professionally than you would with your friends. Okay? You have to stay solution focused and don't shame your counterpart, even when they actually deserve it. Okay? Ask questions and seek understanding. So you have to approach with curiosity and grace. Okay? Ask questions signals that you're interested in their client's needs and invested in a collaborative outcome rather than just pushing your agenda. Okay, you have to create a positive emotion. Helping your counterpart feel good about their role, their client, and the transaction builds trust, even if it's subtle. Okay? Acknowledge their expertise or effort when you can do so genuinely. Okay? Now you have to communicate their perspective. When people feel seen and heard, they become less defensive, right? Acknowledge their needs doesn't mean you're agreeing to them. It means you're creating space for productive conversation. Keep in mind, all you're doing is you're trying to keep moving the transaction forward, okay? And know when to elevate. You can't bypass the agent, but you can contact their managing broker if the situation warrants it, but use this very sparingly and don't use it as a threat. Okay, because that really, then all you're doing is lighting a fire up again. Okay. It can backfire, and that's what I'm talking about. Okay, if it's done the wrong way and the wrong tone. Document everything. Okay. Incompetence and obstruction aren't just frustrating, they're actually risky. So you have to protect your client and yourself with clear documentation of all communications and decisions. And then understanding overall judgment. Empathy is not approval, it's just understanding. And understanding your counterpart, even when they're difficult, gives you the negotiation edge, okay? Not every agent has had the chance to learn true negotiation skills. It's rarely part of licensing programs. And many training companies focus more on marketing and lead generation than communication and negotiation. Okay, so these skills are learnable, but you have to first understand who's all involved in the transaction. Okay, so when agents are trained well, they show up with more confidence, clarity, and collaboration. Okay, and that benefits everybody. That helps you understand the negotiation process. Okay, and everybody wants to have it done. Everybody wants to have the transaction be successful. Okay. So it's just an understanding of who you're dealing with, okay? So anytime you get into a negotiation, always try and just understand who you're dealing with, take a deep breath, and keep moving it forward, okay? So lots of good points here. We will send this out to you. Anybody want to share any situations where you didn't, Nancy shared her situation last time, a couple of weeks ago, and we totally understand. And so now that you understand some of this, the next time you're in negotiations, and it's not just with another agent, also understand, like, this could be your client, right? This could be a potential client that you're negotiating with, especially if you're going in on, they're bringing in multiple people for a listing presentation, right? So really understanding how people make decisions and it's really important. So I thought when I came across this, I thought it was really important, especially because the amount of frustration that's out in the marketplace, not only from buyers, sellers, lawyers, mortgage people, realtors. You know, everybody is, struggling with the pressures that are in this particular market. But you have to understand, where those pressures are coming from and how do you keep moving the negotiations forward. Okay? Comments, thoughts, insight?
I had an incredibly difficult agent that I was dealing with who wouldn't respond to calls, wouldn't respond to text messages, wouldn't respond to emails at least 2 days after. And it was extremely frustrating and everything. But one thing that the article didn't touch on that I think we do automatically anyways, and maybe that's why they didn't touch on it, is I never communicated this to my buyer clients. So my frustration and the inability of that person to communicate with me was never communicated to my buyers. I just told them, oh, okay, you want that? Great. Let me get that going, and just be patient. I'm just waiting for a response from the seller's agents. Just so give me some time here for that question or whatever the issue was. But I never communicated that to the buyers because I wanted to show professionalism. And if I would have started belittling the seller's agent, then it creates this unprofessionalism that is not conducive to the deal. My buyers were interested in the house, not the drama that was happening behind the scenes. So
good points. Good.
Elizabeth?
I wanted to touch on something that you said about changing the method of communication, and that I've had something that really helped me recently. I always try to match, like if the other agent starts communication by text, cool, we can text. Or if they call, I try to match that because that seems to be the method that they like to do. But recently, the other agent started with texting. I said, perfect, I love to text, and texting back. And then she completely ghosted me, and I was getting so frustrated. I was like, our offer dies in an hour. Like, where are you? So I called her, I switched it up, and then she answered right away. She was happy to be there. She just sucked at texting. So it was like a very easy fix, but it made me realize like I can switch it up too. I don't have to just always default to following what they choose. And sometimes it's up to me to switch it up.
Yeah. And good point, because then that's where when it talks in here, if you're getting ghosted, and very good point, goes with change up, make sure that you try the different methods, right? Because that you don't know what the situation is. And then when it becomes you've tried all the different methods and you're still not getting responses, then there may be a possibility that it has to be escalated. Yeah, good point. Okay. There's got to be more situations out there that you come across.
Well, regarding the same agent that I was dealing with, it got to the point where there was nothing going on. I mean, it was getting to the point where my clients were like, we need an answer on this. Where is this guy? And it's been 2 days. So I had to reach out to the brokerage. I left a message for the broker of record. I sent him an email, no response from that person either regarding, and it wasn't even an email saying anything horrible. It was just more like, hey, I've been trying to communicate with your agent. I need this response regarding this issue. If you can call me back and let me know if there's somebody else I can speak to, or how can we resolve this so we can get the communication going again, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. Ghosted as well. So like, okay, well, everybody's ghosting me.
Yeah. So it is, and again, this also falls under the different personalities as I talked about earlier. So if you're not familiar with that, there's different platforms, different tests and things, but what's the one that the DISC program. So if you're not familiar with it, you can just, review the DISC program, right? And so it really helps with understanding who you're dealing with. And so this is just I wanted to bring this one up because I'm hearing a lot about, I'm just frustrated with the agent. They're not getting back to me. And really, this happens way more often dealing with rentals than it does with home buyers. But unfortunately, it's just a good understanding of knowing who you're dealing with and just how to keep moving it forward.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the whole thing. Okay. One other thing before we start talking about what's going on in the marketplace. when you are listing a condo, okay, I came across something because I own a condo in Thornbury. And the last few years, I've been getting what's called the periodic information certificate. Anybody familiar with it?
Never even heard of it.
Okay. It's from the Ministry of, basically it's the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services. It's the periodic information certificate. Julia, are you familiar with it?
Honestly, I've heard of it. I haven't seen any of them. I've been meaning to ask a particular client for one, but
Well,
yeah,
I
it's-
happen to have.
oh, cool.
Okay, so what's interesting about this, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because how many times do you list a condo and you get your seller going, yeah, I really don't want to spend the money to get the status certificate. For the status certificate, it's going to take up to 10 business days to get it to you. Okay. This document, which now by law, condominium corporations have to give to every condo owner in the condominium twice a year, end of the first quarter, end of the third quarter. Okay. It's an 11-page document. So it is something that you could get if your seller doesn't have it. It's something that you can get from their condominium corporation right away. And what's really interesting about it, what's really cool about it, it literally is almost the summary of the status certificate with more detail. So it basically, here's what it goes through, they have to fill it out. It starts with general information about the corporation. So it's the full corporation. It talks about the full address. It gives the condominium manager, also other persons who are responsible for the management. So it actually gives the name and addresses of the directors. It also gives the exact email address for the corporation if they're using that. It has to be filled out. It states that it has to be done and filled out by the board. Okay. It also gives the number of leased units, all the directors, name, address, information about the insurance about the corporation, right down to the type of insurance they have. Are there any insurance claims? Is there any legal obligations to maintain the insurance aside from the insurance that they have? It describes the actual information about the standard unit. Okay. It then goes in number 4, financial information about the corporation. Budget. The budget of the corporation for the current fiscal year is accurate and may result in a surplus, a deficit. It gives the amount of the reserve fund. It gives the imbalance of the reserve fund at the start of the current fiscal year. It talks about how much is going to be added to the reserve fund in this budget. It then goes in and it talks about anticipated expenditures from the reserve fund in the current fiscal year. Okay. And then it really goes into, are there any, this is more for brand new condos. It goes into, are there any guarantees under the new Home Warranty Act that are under process? It then goes number 5, legal actions relating to the corporation. The corporation is currently a party to a legal action, yes or no? If yes, what's the case? What do they know about it? Is the insurance company involved? Goes right into anything to do with claims. Any damages from claims. Outstanding judgments relating to the corporation. The corporation currently has outstanding judgments against it, yes or no? If yes, it goes right into all the details of the judgment. And And then it goes right into disclosure information from the directors of the corporation, copies of statements, information provided to the board regarding anything to do with compliance information about the corporation. Any other information about the corporation that's required by the bylaws. So when this is all filled out properly, and then the condominium does, but they have to, if you can't get your hands on the status certificate, this is a great document to attach to your listing. And it's readily available.
There's not 10-day waiting period
No.
for that?
It has to be given to, yeah, it's basically by law, by the Condominium Act, it has to be given twice a year. And ideally, it's at the end of the first quarter of the fiscal year and at the end of the third quarter of the fiscal year. So it may not be right up to date,
But it'll be close.
but the amount of information that this can give, that this does give, really sets aside what are the biggest questions that you get from a status certificate. Okay, what's the reserve fund? Are there any anticipation? Are there any lawsuits? Right? Is there any court? Is there anything that looks like will be, expenditures coming up that could be a possible call for special assessment? All that's in here. So I came across it. I kept getting it from my condo people. I'm thinking, what the hell are they sending this to me for? And then I'm thinking, why couldn't we just attach this to one of the listings, right? If you can't get the status certificate right away, this is great information. Okay, anyways, so that's what's called periodic information certificate. Okay, and it has to be given to each owner. So, and if you have a condominium listing right now and you don't have the status, ask your sellers for this. And if they don't have, they say, well, I don't know. Normally it would be emailed to them and just ask them to check. If not, ask them to reach out to the condominium and ask for the most recent periodic information certificate. But really good information. And I think as a buyer's agent, if I was looking at a condo with my clients and that was one of the attachments, first thing I'm going to go is, hey, these people are straight up front there. Here's the information about the condo. Okay. So if you haven't come across it, please look it up. I can always just, get you, I can send this blank out to you, but it is, really good information. And I thought it'd be great to attach to any of your condo listings. Or if you're even on the buyer side and your clients are interested in a condo, ask the listing agent for it. Just say, hey, if you can just give me a copy of, while we're waiting for the status certificate, which may not come for 10 days, just ask for a copy of the periodic information certificate. And at least you can see if there's something going on with the corporation.
And share that with a lawyer for the buyer to review.
Yeah, I would, this does not replace your status certificate, but it certainly gives you enough information that you could, it may bring up a red flag and go, oh, hey, by the way, did you know that the corporation's in a court case? And the agent may go around going, no, right? So just something that, because it does talk about what I really liked was the part where it talks about upcoming expenditure. So if the corporation knows that, okay, we're going to have to spend, we got $25,000 to do some repaving, we got this, they have to put that in there. So anyways, if you have not come across it, please get familiar with it, utilize it, request it from both sides. But it is really good, and it is law. It has to be done twice a year. Okay. There, that's my little fine for the day for everybody. Okay. Okay, what's going on out there? Who's got something to tell us on what's happening out there? I know there are some situations where showings have died off a little bit.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you that it doesn't matter where you are in North America. Okay, and I had conversations yesterday with agents from all different areas. There's no magic. Price is the answer. Okay. So, okay, who's got, what's going on out there?
I have updates.
Okay, speak up, let's hear you.
So we did the same thing in Pickering for that house at 999. We had, I don't know how many people showed up at open house total. Last year. 10?
There was about 9 groups, but like in total it was about 28 people. 'Cause everybody, like,
yeah,
brought their
but-
families
yeah.
and stuff.
And overall showings in 5 or 7 days, 20 showings in 7 days,
Okay,
but on no offer.
No
Offer
offer.
date came yesterday, no offer.
okay,
One agent has been verbally giving me an offer, and I said, that's not the right way to do it. But he said, I don't want to waste everybody's time. I said, and then I gave the number to my client. They didn't like it. They said, we would do this much. But I didn't want to disclose that price to him. I said, anything below 1.2, because that will probably be the new price, or
Yeah.
1.199, something like that. And around 1.2 or less, slightly less, we'll consider it. And this was a firm offer with only inspection for 3 days. No, well, it didn't say 3 days, but firm offer, no condition on financing.
okay,
And I asked him, would you put a clause as well? If my seller finds a property earlier than 90 days, we can change the date. And he was agreeing to that too. So I gave that to my seller.
Yeah.
That gives us flexibility. If you find your dream home, the downsizing home, we can close sooner. If, they don't want to go 90 days.
yeah,
on that
but
end.
nothing on paper yet.
Not yet. So
Okay.
he said, I'm gonna discuss it with my buyers last night, either last night or today, I'll update you.
Okay,
So far, nothing. So we are changing the price soon.
okay, so the value you think is somewhere between 1.2, close to 1.2 in the
Yeah,
neighborhood?
because I have all the comparables, even my clients pulled some.
Yeah.
So then I told them, we went through each one. There's been smaller homes sold for 1.25 as well, but they were much better shape. As
Okay.
you saw, like the flooring is older style, maple, all yellowish staircases, right? Things like that. So, but the kitchen's been renovated, bathrooms have been renovated, so.
So the lower price created activity,
Yeah.
which is the first thing you gotta do.
Yeah.
And then some interest, and it's just now trying to move that forward.
So,
Okay.
both 2 or 3 agents told me that their clients didn't want to do any competition. So I already texted them this morning, look, there was no offers. Now it's open to offers. We still have it the same price, but bring something reasonable and we'll work on it. Like I can't give a number out.
Okay.
Right, but one said, what is going to be a new price? I said more than likely around 1.2. It'll be 1.199 or 1.2. And we'll negotiate a little bit off that, I said, because I don't want to lose their interest rate.
Right, okay. The strategy, sometimes lowering the price will, what you've done is try to create activity. And before you can get any offers, you've got to create activity. The issue is how many of the consumers that are going to look at it and go, well, they were asking 999. I'm not interested in bidding at all, right? And it worked the last time, and then, but again, you got activity where if you started at the higher price, you may not have had that much activity. Okay. Anybody else finding that or seeing it in your areas where some agents are doing the lower price and holding off offers? Okay. What are you seeing?
I've been seeing it a bit in Guelph, and I guess it goes one of 2 ways, right? Like I've seen a couple where no offers come in and then the price is raised. And then sometimes they do get at least one offer. But more than likely I'm seeing the first option. I guess it just depends on how much lower are you going, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And that's the factor, right? Like how low are you going to try and push that?
Yeah, I struggle with that strategy a little bit. I think I'm not really as knowledgeable in that yet, but I tend to go like, well, what do you really want for it? Let's listen to that. But again, I don't know. Like sometimes it really works, and that's great.
Yeah, and understanding that it works really well if you have a very unique property, right? And the whole idea of the uniqueness of the property is getting traffic through, getting the interest, okay? But in a marketplace where there's some uncertainty, the buyer that's going to jump on something like that is a buyer that's already been in the marketplace. They've been educated. They're in a situation where they know the value. Really hard to push a brand new buyer who's just got into the marketplace into that kind of scenario. Because they just like, really hard for them to understand that. Okay. And yep.
In the news, I was hearing it on the way here. It's been the highest sales in July, 6,000 something traded properties. So
Yeah.
prices have dropped from 1 year ago, about 5 or 8, I think. I forget the amount of percentage, but sales have improved quite a lot. This July was the biggest transactions.
So what's happening is transactions have definitely increased. Okay.
Prices have dropped.
Yeah, prices have dropped. Price is everything right now. There are opportunities out there. And so what's happening is buyers are now looking at it and going, okay, yeah, we still got the tariff stuff going on, but they're now been sitting on the sidelines long enough that they're seeing some prices where now you're getting buyers that are going, oh, that sold for that. I would have paid that. Right? So now what's happening is they're starting to see some sold signs. They're starting to see properties that were sitting around that all of a sudden sold for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 less than the actual asking price. And they're going, oh, if I would have known it would have sold for that, I would have bought it. So now they're getting that I missed out syndrome. So now it's like, okay, well, the next time I see something that's an opportunity that we like, let's proceed. Anybody else seeing that? You know, I have this big screen I'm looking at, and you know,
I see everybody.
I see
Even the
people
ones
nodding their
behind.
heads.
I feel like I'm talking too much.
No, you're never talking too much.
I haven't seen.
I'm definitely seeing it happen. I mean, there are properties that are coming up in my downtown that are coming and going. And I think pricing has a lot to do with it. And I think, like Elizabeth has seen, some people are pricing it low, hoping for multiple offers. People are standing back, then they reprice it, usually a little above what they want, and then it sells in a few days. It really depends on the property, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Property, location, condition, all of that, right? And that's where you really have to look at each individual property for what features you're going to be able to present.
So that 5% that, you know, prices are down 5%, of course, is overall. And that's probably what people, when they read these articles, don't understand is it's not 5% of everything. Condos are probably more than 5%.
Absolutely.
And definitely the 2 listings that I'm going to have in September, you know, I've already set up my clients for lower expectations than they had quite some time ago. But I think they're being realistic because they see other things in their building and how they sell. Like for one building, one unit, I'm just going to mirror the last pricing strategy, which was a very similar unit, and with a bit of a premium because ours is fully renovated. But she doesn't have any expectation of getting all her money back on her renovation. And my other client is going to be a very difficult sell, and we're going to be very, you know, the goal is get rid of this one so that they can buy in a good market, and it's all about that complete conversation. We can't get the house of their dreams until we get rid of the ones they want to stop dreaming about.
Yeah,
which has been difficult. So.
Well, and that's where, and it's a very good point, Julia. You have to have the full conversation, right? What happens sometimes is the sellers will get caught up with, well, you know, I could have sold this for this amount, yeah, but what you wanted to buy was way up here. Now this has come down, yeah, you're gonna lose and stuff, and we've talked about that gap, right? especially when you're talking with move-up buyers. And if you're prospecting for move-up buyers, okay, the price range that's moving the most right now is between, depending on where you are, but between 400,000 to 950. Okay, that range, and I say that because, you know, we got some properties in Niagara Falls that, and then we've got properties like, just if I just take Mississauga right now, there was a time not that long ago, you know, a year and a bit ago, where you couldn't get a freehold in Mississauga, freehold townhouse, semi or detached, under $1 million. There's hundreds of them right now. Okay.
Honestly, you're probably right. It's probably higher in the city. I'd bring it up more around 1.1,
Yeah.
1.15. But I mean, a little house sold on my street for 940,000, which is, we haven't seen that in ages. And it did, you know, it set an offer date. I think they listed it for 899, or, and they set an offer date. They didn't get their offer, and then they priced it up, and they ended up getting 940. Now it needs some work, but
yeah,
those are numbers I'm not used to seeing. So
right. And that's the story that has to be told, is the opportunities, right? And that's why it's really, really important that you are on the market every day, looking at what new listings, what price reductions, talking to agents, really reading the broker comments. I am seeing more and more where it's bonus commission to agent if property sold by this date. Really pay attention to those, because that's a motivating factor. That's a seller that's in a position that needs to sell. Okay, so look for that. Anita, yes, please.
So what I'm finding here in Niagara is we have lots of sale of property offers. So,
Yeah.
you know, everything's conditional upon somebody else selling to somebody else, and, you know, the line. But what we're having happen here is people are coming back and renegotiating after we already have everything kind of set, because the first property isn't getting what it needs to buy the second property, which means we can't buy the third property at that price because we've had to reduce, right? So
Yeah.
I just encountered that here, and I spoke to a number of realtors in probably the last 7 to 10 days, and I asked them specifically about that, and that's what they're telling me. They're saying that the sale of property offers are coming, or the property sale is selling lower, and then the next house, you know, already negotiated a price, but they're going to have to take a little bit less, and it kind of goes down the scale. So that's what we're
Yeah.
seeing here in Niagara, is that sale of property offer getting renegotiated at the last minute.
But when they renegotiate it, it's, if you agree to this, everybody can firm up their deal.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Good.
the timing on it is so difficult. I had such a, you know, because the last property has to agree to it before you can get to, like, you can sell to the first person, right? So it's kind of
Yeah.
like a, you know, that it's a really tight time to do that.
Yes. Yeah. No, I can tell you that I have seen that years ago.
Yep.
And if that's back, but again, just as we've talked about earlier, how do you keep the transaction moving forward, right? And that is a strategy. Now that you've got all the terms agreed to, well, guess what? Now we got to talk about one more term. And if we have to adjust it, and if you take less, they take less, everybody sort of works together, then they all get to the end conclusion. So good point. It's interesting to hear that's happening. Thank you. Okay. Hunter, please go ahead.
Hey, guys. I just wanted to comment on the stats that you're giving us about the 5% year over year reduction in sale price. That's the TREB stat, correct?
Yeah, but it'll also be,
Prices
yeah,
are down 5%.
it'll be on average, but there'll be pockets that'll be even way more than that.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. You know, to caution people, like I'm north of Mayfield, north of
Yeah.
Brampton, and you know, we're seeing listings right now that aren't moving, that are at least 20% lower than sales from last year. So doing your CMAs, be careful that you, as Scott's mentioned, analyze the district you're in, because I mean, we're seeing like 25%. And I wanted to comment or ask, when like a $4 million property sells, Scott, it seems like up here, because we do have the estates, people are picking up $5 million, farms for 4, because it's a great deal, and the people with the cash are the $4 million buyers. Could that be skewing the numbers?
Well, anytime you have a high sale, then if you're just looking at the average of an area, absolutely. It's going to skew the average, okay? And that's why it's important, if you actually go in and either use the what's the new one? Habistat or the home price index, you can actually really narrow it down to neighborhood, type of property, okay? So really get familiar with using those, because what happens is that'll eliminate that big fluctuation, because you can narrow it right down.
It will in Mississauga, but it doesn't up here, because you could have a $4 million farm next to a $1 million farm, right? So neighborhood doesn't work as well up here. I mean, you have to look at everything very specifically up here when you're
Right.
into those unique properties, which we have a lot of. But it's just interesting to note that up here nothing's moving unless it's a giveaway, and I'm finding the community I work in, I have 4 listings in it, 2 currently, 2 more coming up. Nothing sold for about 6 months, and the prices are down about 25% at least.
Now, Hunter, is that the seniors community that you work, Parkbridge,
Yeah.
that area?
Yeah, what happens in there, Scott, is that market stays really strong when the rest start to slide.
No. Might be your internet, Hunter. We may have lost you. Yeah. That could be, he's in the country. Hunter, just check your internet there, man. But what I can tell you is there are very specific pockets that will be affected differently. Okay. No different than, the condos are in a position where they're still selling. Like there's condos that come up that are in a building that very rarely something comes up with a great view, with great size. There are buyers waiting for those. So you can't just generally say the condo market. Yeah, generally the condo market is really slow. Okay. But there are, again, you're getting back into where's the opportunity. If this is a unique property, there's buyers for everything, okay? There's always buyers around. It's just, what is it that's going to make that buyer make that decision? First of all, we talk about location, location, location. If you get a special property in a special area where there's very little that comes up, there's buyers waiting. They're waiting for something in that area. So all of a sudden you go, well, geez, why'd that one sell so fast? Because somebody was waiting for that particular place to come available, okay, in that neighborhood. And you'll see that more in Toronto. You'll see it in luxury condos where there's very little that comes up, and all of a sudden something comes up and it's, someone wants it. But the understanding of what's taking place with the market, you really have to look at the individual properties that you're dealing with. Okay. And I think that's what Hunter's point is that you, like in my area, yeah, you could have semis and small detached, but in that same area, you get a waterfront, lakefront property that sells for $7-8 million. Well, the average price in that area for that month is skewed, right? But you can take those properties out and make sure that when you're doing your evaluations, when you're doing your graphs, you can narrow those down, right? Make sure you look at that. Hunter, is that what you were trying to sort of get to?
you can tell I'm rural. I lost my internet connection there, sorry. Doesn't
That's
happen very
okay.
often, but it looked like I signed off on you. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically it, Scott. It's just, it really is a different market up here, I believe, than down there. And, I've been having, challenging conversations with colleagues, talking about it and telling them my opinion. And I really think that, we're in for a little bit of hurt up here. It's just not moving like
Yeah.
it used to. COVID kicked in rural properties. Everybody wanted to be here, and now I imagine half of those people are getting called back to Toronto, and they want to start moving. It's sort of like cottage country to a degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the banks start lending on farms.
Okay.
Nobody, they're just they're not putting. Sorry, I got a dog here that hates you. They're not putting the same. Their risk tolerance is so far off on farms right now. You get 87 acre farm, you're not a farmer and you want to move to the country and bring your family here, it's impossible these days.
Wow. Okay. Good
$1
to
million
know.
down, and then you got a $2 million mortgage, but how does someone carry a $2 million mortgage? Well, they didn't care 3 years ago. You were farmland and, go out and get a crop farmer to farm it for you, get lower taxes and a little bit of revenue from the farmer, and the banks gave it to you, but now forget it.
Right.
There's different challenges in every market, and that's ours.
Yeah. Can you just give us an update? I know you work really, really well in that seniors community, and that's things where you have your listings. Are you seeing, have the seniors sort of pulled back from making decisions? Are they in this environment? Are they just trying to stay status quo?
It's an interesting question. There's been some changes with Parkridge, which is the land lease operator. They sold 50% of their company to a REIT or a pension fund. John Bowen knows more about them, but
Okay.
their fees have gone up a little bit, which is, putting people off a bit. But it's really the rest of the market. When, like, we used to have bidding wars in here, you put a good property on, hold offering dates or just put it at a fair market number and you'd sell it for more with 3 offers. I did one last summer, off market, invite only, Thursday night open house, because it's a seniors community. I didn't want to overwhelm the client. Her kids didn't want showings until she moved out. I said, let's not miss an opportunity. We did a Thursday night. I invited 5 agents that I knew were looking. Brought my own client. My client bought it, and we sold it for about 10. Yeah, 10% more than the market's getting right now, and that was off market last year. So that showed me from a year ago the desirability for the community. This year, there's so many properties. A lot of people go into homes. Some people pass away, and the kids wait for probate and all the rest. So we ended up with this glutton of properties all at once. And so now people are sort of on the sidelines going, well, we're in no hurry. There'll be another bus coming next month. And sure enough, another 2 properties go up. And then but the biggest factor is that people can't sell their houses outside of my community, that they need to sell their Vaughan property or Richmond Hill, Mississauga. And a year and a half ago, they knew they could sell it quite quickly. Whereas now they're in the boat we're all in. And so they've sort of come off their shopping spree and they're, maybe slowing down and say, what's the point of downsizing when our house is worth $300,000 less, which will possibly remain at $300,000 less for the next few years, but they don't see it that way. So it's going to take time for the buyers to come to the realization that this is the new economy and their house is worth what it's worth.
Okay. That's where I was trying to get at is where, so if you're not familiar, basically what Hunter works in and specializes in that particular area is a seniors community that's land lease, right? So they're houses that are in a park, right? And really geared towards seniors. It actually is geared towards seniors. That's as simple as I can put it. And what happens is when the market was really hot, you'd get people that were in the GTA area going, hey, if I can sell and get this kind of money, I can take and put all this money into the savings. I can move into this community, beautiful, a lot of them are bungalows, nice detached bungalows. But now, just as Hunter said, if they can't sell their place for the valuation that they're hoping to take equity out from, now they're going like, why would we move? So, and that's, I think, why, Hunter is saying the reason that they're not seeing buyers come to that community right now is because of they can't get or feel that they're getting all the equity out. Okay. So again, really important that when you're having conversations, especially when you're dealing with seniors, understand that there's probably kids, family members involved. Make sure you're having the conversations, that you're involved with them with that. And really asking the two sides of the transaction, right? It's great that you want to sell. What is it that you're trying to do? How can I help you get to that next step? And understand that that decision is probably going to take a lot longer to happen than it was happening years ago. And that's where your patience has to come in. Your understanding has to come in. Being able to, keep that communication going with those particular, with your clients, and that database is important. Okay. Because there are situations where, I've been talking with some of my clients and they've been talking about moving for a year and a half. Well, they're now getting to the point where it's not if, it's that we have to move because of life continues on. But really, really important that when you start those conversations and doesn't matter what side you're on, either the buyer's side or the seller's side, understanding that whatever their timeline is today, it may change. Okay, because of a situation. And it's really important that you understand that and you keep asking that question. Has the timeline changed? Is there something different that we need to address? So I know that's what I'm coming across a lot of. Okay, any other insights, comments? No?
Yeah.
Okay, well, how is everybody? If there's nothing else, you guys, how do you want to do this? You want to connect your phone or how do you want to do a?
Oh, wait. I have something to say.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here's the challenge for all of you guys. This weekend on Saturday is the Sunflower Festival, which you all know I'm involved in. And do a day trip. Come and see Elroy and I. We will be back at the booth from 9 until 4. And you're all like, oh my gosh, it's so far. It's 3 hours up, 3 hours down. I've done it many, many times to see you guys. Come out, come and visit us at our booth. There's 150 vendors. You can buy anything from t-shirts to furniture to crafts, like a chainsaw if you want to. Come out and see us if you can.
Yeah, it's a really excellent event. It's a great community. There's lots to do on your 3-hour drive up and back. Unfortunately, my dear, I cannot get there this year. Nadine and I have to be at a 60th big bash that's happening in the afternoon.
Yeah, you told me that. But there's lots of other people on this call that could make the trip.
Yeah, and it is pretty cool. Nancy does very well up there. And there's one thing, if you haven't driven up that way, you should, just to go see her billboards.
And if anybody needs directions, it's straight up Highway 11 to exit 276. And then that'll put you right into Sunridge. And come and see what we've been talking about. Just make the day of it. I make the day to come down and see you guys. Come on.
Pretty cool. If you get the chance, absolutely go. And there are great crafts. There's a great wing place just on the main street. I highly recommend. It was really good. Okay. You guys ready for a tour? We still have construction going on, but
we do. Before we do this, if you can, please turn on your cameras, and everyone that's sitting here, can you please go stand beside our giant new TV? I'm going to take a picture.
I can't wait to
Okay.
see the tour.
We're doing a little picture first and then the tour. I cannot believe how gigantic this television is.
I can't wait to see it.
I know. Yeah, where's the fancy timer?
Okay, everybody smile. 3, 2, 1. We get the whole room here. Thank you, Herb. You can't even reach the top.
I can't even reach the top, it's that big. Hey,
Okay.
Stop showing off.
I'm gonna plug in a different camera here.
Can you
You know
get
what?
like, really
You're gonna
meta
have
and
one of those
show
dishes
us?
on you. All right, time to carve up.
And we
Yeah.
are gonna have an opening.
It's,
But we still got, everything's functioning, we're all in, but we're still got some stuff that still is being tweaked. So until we have it all done, then we'll do the official opening, but you are way, always welcome to come. Okay, anytime. But, we'll see how,
Nice.
oh, before you guys go on this tour. Okay, we've actually designed it in a way that we've done something to open it up so that it's gonna be a collaborative space. So if you have any lawyers, mortgage people, immigration lawyers, anybody that deals with community, okay, we are actually designed it so we have about 10 offices available for those that we want to bring in, that they can rent the space and they can be involved with our community, with our meetings, with the collaboration, the way we designed it. So if you have anybody that obviously is in the GTA or maybe Mississauga that might be a fit, just fire off their information and just, we'd love to reach out to them. Because when you see the space, keep in mind, like even this room can actually, this whole table can move. It can be set up so that you can do classroom style. So they basically have the availability. Is what we're really noticing, and well, one of the top agents in North America, that's what he does. Every office he owns and puts a team into, it's also a business center. And they really do a lot of cross shopping, let's call it, cross networking, and it's really worked well. So that's why we designed it. So when you go for a tour, keep that in mind. If you have anybody that might be a fit, let us know.
Okay, we ready? Okay, I'm gonna stop airplaying this. Let's not on the giant TV.
So you can't do that
There
on
we
your
go.
phone and take it, eh?
Well, no, because everyone's on Zoom.
Do you need me to, oh no, you're gonna, okay.
I got this. It's my job to get this. I have it on me, so you guys don't cheat. I wanna go from the beginning.
Camera is facing out, yeah.
You got
I'm
it?
gonna start from the front desk area.
Hands
You
are
guys
with what
can-
camera shows.
Yeah, yourself, good.
How are you?
How are you?
The suspense.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
They're crushing us with suspense.
I need, if anyone remembers what Heelys are, please buy me a pair. This office is so big. I'm getting 10,000 steps in every single day. And I would rather not.
I support.
Okay. So here we have the front door. I'm gonna go this way. Well, okay, wait. It's inverted. I gotta change this up. There we go. Okay. So we walk in. Have our front desk here. Everyone say hi to Nadia.
Hi, Nadia.
Nadia. Just got some space here. We're going to be building her out a much bigger desk. And we're going to have some reception area here, some waiting chairs and all that.
Mhm.
It's very, very bright Here we have our first boardroom we're putting together. So as you can see, we have the same black marble table there. Big TV, it's about 75-inch, I think. And then over here, in the corner here, we're gonna have these 2 chairs set up. Cool funky table, some like water decanter, stuff like that. So it's still a boardroom, but you don't always have to be sitting at the table very formal like that. You can just be using kind of these banquet style chairs. We continue. It's so bright in here, my God. Can't even see you. Wave. That's my dad's office. This is my office. Well, accounting. You can come visit me. I have comfy chairs too. Then we have some agent offices down here. Wave. It's so bright. You can barely see. There's so many windows. And then here we have a cool, funky area that's just going to be some tub chairs, comfy sofa. You can't really see it, but there is a lamp here. If I do this, there we go. So we're gonna have a coffee table, a bookshelf there. You can come in, you can read, you can plug in your laptop. There's outlets all behind the sofa. Have our printer here. Matthew, wave hello. We have offices all down here. Elizabeth, that's yours with Eric. And then these are just daily rentable offices. So they don't have to be assigned to anyone. You can just come in, rent for the day if you need to take meetings or anything like that. These are all monthly rentable offices, big team office in here. There's Kingsley. Hi, Kingsley. He's our painter. And there's offices all the way down here. As you can see, we're on the other side of the open area. There's the sofa. Here's our computer stations that we're going to have set up. Our kitchen is here. We're going to be taking the white table from Sherwood Town. It's going right there. Then we have another TV here with another kind of kitchen seating area. Very cool backsplash. Shout out Tommy and his tile company that helped us pick out these tiles. Tying in the red. As you can see, all the office doors do have that signature red color. We're keeping that all the way through. Big, huge utility room. I deal with all of that. It's interesting. There they are in the training room and everything. We're just getting some more stuff put on the doors. More offices. All the offices are windowed. They all have the glass door with the panel of glass on the side. We have an employee entrance there that's currently getting fobbed. And we have not set up yet. We have our social media room. So this room will have 3 different walls that will have the green screen, the grass, and like a soundproofing foam background, which is pretty cool. And then all the tech will be set up there. And you can come in, there's going to be like chairs and everything, a table, so you can either set up for a podcast or you can set up just to do some social media, stuff like that. So yeah. Can I go in real quick?
Good.
When's the opening big bash party?
And then we're back in our training room. Go. With our top producers here. Hello. And then, Nasir, do you want to go stand beside the TV to show them how gigantic it is?
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty big. But that is our space. There you go.
Check it out. Check it out.
Soon, I love it.
Oh yeah, Nasir's never leaving. He lives here now. Okay. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see everyone. We'll send that stuff out to you. But come visit.
Please.
We will. We'll be there too.